All right, let's talk about the single biggest weakness in pretty much all of our digital lives. It's the one thing we all use every single day, the password. We're going to break down exactly why this old-school security tool is failing, big time, and what the modern solution actually is. So let's kick things off by looking at how the bad guys really get it.
So let me ask you a question. When you picture a huge cyber attack, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Is it some hacker in a dark room, furiously typing, breaking through complex firewalls? Using some sophisticated code to exploit a hidden flaw? Well, what if I told you the real starting point is much, much simpler than all that?
Yep, that's it. The vast majority of cyber attacks today don't start by kicking down the digital door. They start with an attacker walking right through the front gate, using a key they stole. They just log in, exactly like you would. The entire game for them is about getting their hands on that key.
And that brings us to a really critical point. To understand the threat, we first have to understand what the attackers are truly trying to steal. And it's not just your data. It's something much more fundamental. It's the very thing that proves you are you online.
The official term for this stuff is credentials. It's basically your username and password. Yeah, but it can also be a PIN or even your fingerprint. Think about it. Every single time you log into your email, your bank, your work network, you're presenting your credentials. They are literally the keys to your entire digital kingdom.
And once they have those keys, wow, it kicks off this terrifying chain reaction. It's never just about that one account. They get into your email, and from there, they can reset the passwords for your bank, your social media, you name it. They can even turn off the security alerts so you're totally in the dark. And inside a company, this lets them move laterally, hopping from system to system until they can deploy something absolutely devastating, like ransomware. And it all starts with that one stolen key.
Okay, so if credentials are so incredibly important, why is our #1 way of protecting them, the good old password, so fundamentally broken? Let's dig into why this defense system is just completely outdated.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. Passwords are basically ancient technology. They were created decades ago for a much simpler time when systems were all separate and attacks were rare. They were never ever meant to secure our hyper-connected world of cloud services and online banking against the millions of automated attacks that are happening every single day.
And this really boils down to 3 fatal flaws. First, we all reuse them, right? So a data breach on some random website you used once can expose the password you also use for your main email account. Second, we're predictable creatures. We choose names, states, simple patterns that are just way too easy for computers to guess. And third, and honestly, this is the big one, they can be stolen silently, through phishing emails or malware without you ever even knowing it happened.
And this is the point that's so crucial to get. Even if you have a 20-character password with all the symbols and numbers, it makes zero difference if an attacker tricks you into typing it on a fake login page. The strength of your password becomes completely irrelevant. The system just sees a correct password. It has no way of knowing it wasn't you.
All right, enough about the problem. Let's pivot to the solution. Because if the password is a broken lock, we can't just make a slightly stronger version of that same broken lock. We need a completely new layer of security.
And that solution is multi-factor authentication, or MFA. The key word here is multi. Instead of relying on just one piece of evidence, the password, MFA requires at least 2 separate proofs of identity before it'll grant you access. It is all about adding layers.
And these proofs of identity fall into 3 really simple categories. There's something you know, which is your password, then something you have, like your smartphone or a little physical security key, and finally, something you are, like your fingerprint or your face. Real effective MFA always combines at least 2 of these different categories.
And when you look at this comparison, the difference is just night and day. The old way, just a password, is a single point of failure. Once it's gone, the attacker's in. But the modern way, with MFA, creates a layered defense. It's designed to stop an attack even after your password has been stolen. Why? Because it verifies the user, not just the password.
Okay, let's walk through a quick scenario so you can see exactly how this works in the real world. Imagine an attacker succeeds. They've tricked you with a phishing email, and now they have your username and your very strong password.
So they go straight to your email login page, they enter your credentials, and they hit enter. Now, in a password-only world, the game would be over right here. They'd be in.
But because you have MFA enabled, this happens. The system accepts the password, but then it throws up a second challenge. It asks for a time-sensitive 6-digit code that was just generated by an app on your phone. And the attacker, well, the attacker doesn't have your phone.
And just like that, it's over. The attack is stopped cold.
That one extra step makes the stolen password completely useless to the criminal. All their effort, all that work, totally worthless.
So this brings us to the final and frankly the most important part, how you can make this powerful defense your own personal standard for everything you do online. And the great news is that using MFA is easier now than it has ever been. Seriously. There are free authenticator apps you can download that are simple to set up. A ton of services now use push notifications where you just tap Approve on your phone. And of course, the biometrics built into all our phones, fingerprint and face scans, that's a seamless form of MFA. This isn't some complex high-end tech anymore. It's available to literally everyone.
And here's why this is so urgent. The cybercriminals have already moved on. Their entire strategy, their whole game plan, is built on the assumption that they will get your password. For them, it's a given. Their success or failure now depends completely on whether or not you have that second factor in place.
So if you remember just one thing from all this, please let it be this. The era of relying on a single password for your security is over. It's done. Security today is all about layered protection, and MFA is the single most effective layer you can possibly add.
I'll leave you with this final thought. Relying on just a password in today's world is like protecting your home with a simple, flimsy lock from the 1980s, while criminals are outside using 21st century tools to get in. So the real question is, isn't it time for an upgrade?